Lifeline.
She's Chelsea.
She's Isabella, and today we're bringing you another devotional during this stay-at-home order, and we just hope that it's a little bit of a blessing to you no matter what you're being faced with right now. We hope that you're healthy and safe, and we just hope that you enjoy it.
So for today's topic, we want to focus on actively achieving God's will in our life.
Yeah, so what we kind of want to talk about is we as young adults are in this phase of life where we're just trying to figure out kind of our purpose and what we're supposed to be doing in our life, what our next step is going to be. And as Christians, we're kind of caught in this struggle of finding the perfect life that the world sets before us, and also finding God's will for our life and choosing that, and ultimately wanting that over what the world says is the typical perfect life. So we wonder, how do we do that? What does it look like to be an active participant in finding out God's will for our lives as young adults, and then even further into adulthood, as we age?
So in our discussion of this, me and Chelsea came up with 3 points that we thought would be beneficial in knowing and helping us to achieve God's will in our life. So the first one that we thought on was truly seeking Him. So with that, if you can turn to Proverbs 8:17, which says, "I love those who love me, and those who seek me diligently will find me." So I think that that's pretty, what's the word?
Simple.
Yeah, pretty simple and pretty much straightforward. Like, if you love God, then you'll make it one of your purposes to diligently seek after Him. And when you seek Him, the more you seek Him, the more you get to know who God really is, the more you get to learn His ways. And when you recognize God's ways, you'll know His will because you'll recognize His voice in your life. So those times where you're going through things and you're desperate to just hear from God, if you are reading your word and you're diving into what it says and you're seeking after Him diligently, then, like it says, those who seek me diligently will find me. So you're going to find Him, and in finding Him, you'll find His voice, and you'll find His will.
And I think part of it is not being casual or like mediocre about it. It's about being very intentional, and I think a big thing that we've learned in our walk with God is being consistent. I think that a lot of people don't give enough credit to being consistent, and how important it is in our walk with God, and learning who He is in our lives so we can learn who we are, so that we know how to serve Him better.
Yeah, that's good. So the second point that we jotted down is to be purposeful in prayer. So with that, if we can turn to Matthew 7:7-8, it says, "Ask and it will be given to you. Seek and you will find. Knock and it will be open to you. For everyone who asks receives, and he who seeks finds, and to him who knocks it will be opened." So I think that this is also a pretty simple and straightforward verse. Like, if you're purposeful in your prayer, meaning that when you go into prayer, you're not going in with this thought of like, okay, like, what am I going to pray about? Like, oh, how long do I have to pray? Like, 5 minutes only? Like, come on, like, trying to reach that hour. But if you go into prayer with a purpose and you kind of have it set, like, Lord, this is what I'm trying to achieve in this time of prayer, then that time, I feel like will fly by faster, and you'll get
you'll make progress, rather than just being stagnant.
And
I think a big portion of it is saying, God, like, I want your will for my life, and asking. He says to ask and seek and knock, and the doors will be open, sort of thing. And I think that we forget sometimes that we can come to Him in a way where we're asking, like, God, what is your will for my life? And I believe, in Chavella too, just in this little study, we believe that God will answer those prayers, and He'll make it known to you through that prayer time what His will is for your life, and He'll open doors, and He'll clarify certain directions that you could go, and He'll make it known to you during that prayer.
And I think we've both seen it manifest in both our lives at the points where, like, we have actively and purposely gone into prayer, and we've seen our prayers answered. Yeah. So it's not something that we're just like telling you like, oh, you need to be purposeful in your prayers, but we've actually reaped the benefits of being purposeful in our prayers and going to God with a set purpose and a set mindset and saying, okay, Lord, I'm going to give you this time and I'm going to talk to you. That's all he wants really, is for us to just go to him, to spend time with him, to talk with him, and just don't let it be surface. I think a lot of times we can go into prayer and it's kind of just like when you have small talk with someone that you don't really know and you're just like trying to fill the time.
How's the weather, God?
Yeah, like no, God wants you to go deep with him, and he wants to know more about you just as much as you want to know more about him.
Yeah. So kind of the last step or tool or whatever we're kind of calling these things in becoming more active in achieving God's will for our life, we wanted to talk about a lifestyle of surrender. And this is the part that I feel like a lot of people, we can get the prayer thing down, we can get, asking God things, we can get, the reading our word, and seeing in our Bible what God has called us to. But sometimes I think that we get stuck on the lifestyle and in a surrender posture. You have to ultimately surrender to God's will for your life. If you don't surrender, it can't come to pass. So where we're going to turn now is Proverbs 16, verse 9. A man's heart plans his way, but the Lord directs his steps. So ultimately what we believe that saying is, you have to come to God, and you may have your plan, your 5-year plan, your 2-year plan. Some people can only do a week at a time,
or a day
at a time. But you have to come to God in whatever situation is in a humble posture and say, God, this might be what I see for my life. This might be what I feel is perfect for my life. But ultimately, God, your will, not mine. And ask him and expect him to guide your steps, to make your path known to you. I think it's a beautiful thing when we can sit before our Creator and say, God, create my way for me, because I don't want to do it, or I'm not worthy enough to do it. But allowing him to kind of, pave the road for you rather than us try to do it ourselves, because I know that I've tried in my life doing it my own way and I have failed miserably, and
terribly.
Knowing that God has never failed me, it kind of motivates me to keep going back to him. And like Chavella was saying, we've both seen our prayers come to pass in our life when asking God for something or asking God to make a way. And I think that we're coming not out of like suggestion, but this is our testimony. We have testimonies of what God's done in our life through these steps. And it's not always easy, it's not always fun, but it's always beneficial living for God. It's always beneficial serving God. And it's a blessing.
So to wrap this all up, one verse that we wanted to go to was Romans 12 and 1 and 2, right?
Yeah.
Romans 12, 1 and 2. So it says, I beseech you, therefore, brethren, by the mercies of God, that you present your bodies a living sacrifice, wholly acceptable to God, which is your reasonable service. And do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind, that you may prove what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of God.
Yeah, so I think basically where we're coming from is this whole thing that we have going on called life, and all the trials that come up, and it may be hard, but when it comes down to it, if you're seeking the will of God for your life, if you're praying and you're consistent with that prayer life, and you're in a posture of surrender to whatever his will may be for your life, it is exactly that. The perfect will of God will come to pass in your life.
And you'll see it unfold in every aspect of your life, not just in your relationship with God, but in your home, in your finances, in your work, in your relationships with just people in general. It'll overflow into every part of everything in your life.
So we hope that this was a little bit of a blessing for you wherever you're at in life right now. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to the Lifeline page, and have a blessed day.
Make sure to give us a like and a follow.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed that video, make sure to subscribe and ring that bell so you get notified the next time we drop a devotional or a message or any other video here on YouTube. God bless.